Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters of the Week video. Thought I would mix one in here while I wrap up one last video for the series of Ghosts and Spirits. I'll give that a rest for a couple of weeks and then get back at it again. This random page suggested an animal that is very rare in that I actually believe that it is not a cryptid. Instead, it was a misinterpreted or misidentified animal, like a real life animal that just under strange circumstances, maybe the environment, maybe the angles that it was seen, maybe even the daytime or the nighttime more exactly, that's how this thing looked like something else. In my opinion, it truly was an animal, a real life seal in this case, that was interpreted as a completely different cryptid. And when I show the evidence, hopefully you'll be thinking the same thing as well. Could it still been a cryptid? Who knows? But considering how long ago it occurred, even today, the evidence still points to have been just a misidentified seal. And I'm talking about the unique encounter with the cryptid known as Steller's sea ape, which you're looking at a picture of here, or a drawing of here. So what was this sea ape? Well, it was a cryptid, purported cryptid, that was encountered August 10th, 1741, long time ago, hundreds of years back, and it was encountered off the waters of Shumagon Islands, Alaska. And it was definitely encountered by a guy, an explorer by the name of George Wilhelm Steller, hence the name Steller's sea ape. So here's what occurred. It seems like they were exploring on a boat, just basically off those waters. I don't know exactly what he was exploring per se, but during that time period, all of a sudden, bobbing up and down, in this case in front of their boat, was this thing. Now here's how he described it. And apparently he had a good time describing it because he was able to see it, even take shots at it, and then other crew members also saw it too. And this thing was even playing with a ball of, I guess, some kind of seaweed of some sort. So it's not like this was just a quick hide and seek and then it was gone. No, in this case it seemed like it was truly there for some time. So the way this animal was described, it was about 5 feet long, and its head was shaped more of like a dog. Now based on the drawing there, it seems like to me like it looks more like a baboon, maybe because of the nose. Not exactly sure 100%, and it makes me wonder why it's called a sea ape, because it definitely looks more like a baboon rather than a dog itself. But in either case, it had large ears, and these ears were pointed upwards, and then it had very, very long whiskers. Sometimes during this encounter, they were able also to catch its tail, and its tail was very large too. It resembled that of, let's say, a large shark. And most importantly, and this is probably the biggest distinction of it all, it had, according to them, no fins. So no little fins on its left side, on its right side, the type that are usually seen within several marine animals such as seals. And it was essentially one long body with the tail and then the head on opposite ends. And then also, what was also very distinct about it was that it had very thick grayish shaggy hair towards the top, and then reddish white hair towards its abdomen. Something that could be considered unusual. It just depends on circumstances, and I'll talk about that more later. But yes, it's definitely stood out with regards to a sea animal having that much hair. So this guy Steller, when he discovered it, he wrote about it, and then he also stated that this thing was in turn observing them, even so much so that it almost playfully engaged with a piece of seaweed, juggling it, I guess, in a ball-like fashion in the water, I guess trying to catch their attention and then showcasing what it can do. Playful manner, like nothing menacing of it, nothing in terms of it being dangerous, no, nothing like that at all. Just this thing just finding, in this case, this ship, and somehow recognizing that there were some living things on it, just wanted to show off for the ship. Unfortunately, it looks like this guy Steller tried to shoot at the animal, again showcasing how much time he had, because if this thing was playfully engaging in front of the boat for that long, enough for him to take out a gun, take careful aim, and try to shoot. I say unfortunately because if this thing was not acting dangerously, then why shoot at it? Just let it be. But still, there it was, and it attempted to shoot at him. I'm sorry, yes, he attempted to shoot at the ape, but he missed. So much so, at least, that this thing, I guess, ran off at that point, just swam away, and then that was it. Now, others also apparently encountered this thing. There was another sailor, a guy by the name of Miles Smeaton. He wrote in a book of his, something called Misty Islands, of an encounter similar to this. But this happened a long time later. So remember, the first encounter was 1741. The next one was 1969. So a much, much longer time period after 200 years plus. And the way he described this thing, there it was. He described it almost exactly to Steller's sea ape. And also, he had witnesses, much like Steller had witnesses on his ship, because he had an exploring ship. It's not just going to be by himself. No doubt there were others there with him, part of the crew, maybe even some of his family members there. Well, this guy, Sailor's Mouse Smeaton, also had several family members with him, his daughter and a friend, and they all saw this creature, and all of them, based on their observations, it was later determined that it matched what, in this case, the original guy, Steller, had seen as well. Nothing dangerous either encountered with this thing. It was just sailing along with them for a little while after they were traveling through Misty Islands, and then it just disappeared. Now, with that being said, here's the evidence where I think, and I'm pretty sure this, like, it points to it being a truly real animal. Look at this thing here. This is what's known as a northern fur seal. It's just like your average looking seal, but when it's younger, or in some cases when it has, I guess, a different time period, like it has more fur on it, much shaggier in fact, than normally seen on a seal. And they're known to be within those areas too. So this thing, let's say if it was, I guess, the closest thing swimming upright, like let's say placing his body vertically in the water and the forelimbs hanging behind it, because the way that those forelimbs are angled, those fins that it has on the left and the right hand side of it, if it's viewed at a certain position and it's just standing upright, closest thing to standing upright in the water, it could absolutely make it seem like it has no fins, like it is one long straight like body. Plus its tail is also considered shark-like. In other words, it looks very similar to a shark, and that may have been the explanation there. And as I was mentioning earlier with regards to its fur, the lighting conditions associated with the original encounter with Steller may have made it seem more fur than it really had. So again, let's say if it was towards the evening, maybe even night, something where there wasn't much sun, and you saw that fur, you didn't see all of its fur, you just saw some of it. So that may have made the encounter with Steller make it seem like it had a lot more fur. Now, could there have been a much furrier, in this case, northern fur seal encountered? Absolutely. But at least with regards to the comparisons, you can see that when it comes to the northern fur seal, it too has fur, and if viewed in certain lighting conditions, it would definitely make it look more like the Steller sea ape too. And most likely it was a juvenile fur seal, northern fur seal, that was encountered because of the length of fur too. Apparently with these northern fur seals, the older they get, then the less hair that they have throughout their body. So that could also explain how with Steller's encounter, it was more of a playful banter of sorts, how it was playing and juggling with that piece of seaweed in front of the ship, as is prone when it comes to the animal kingdom. When you're dealing with quote-unquote juveniles, they are more likely to be playful because they're at that age where they're growing up, and that playfulness kind of, in some ways, if you've seen the documentaries on animals, it in turn teaches them how to hunt, how to, in this case, swim, how to target things, in this case the seaweed. This playful banter will in turn make it a better hunter, so that's the age that such things happen to. So again, all that evidence seems to point that yes, this was truly a northern fur seal encountered. I could be wrong. This was a long time ago. It could have been a cryptid out of the blue that is 100% a brand new cryptid that was never encountered before, and maybe very rarely after, if you consider Sailor Miles Smeaton's other encounter too. But who knows? So if anyone has any more information about the Steller's sea ape, please post those comments below. It'd be really great to hear. No other encounters recently after the one in the 1900s, so if anyone has any more information about more recent encounters, that would be really good to hear too. So alright everybody, thanks again as always, take care.